Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I'm really excited to do because it's going to be a little bit of a different video for me. This video is going to be all about the new Colourpop spring collection. So I did get a couple items sent over to me from Colourpop. I said something on Instagram if you guys wanted to see a full video on this collection, and I was overwhelmed with the yeses. So that is what we are doing today. So I decided I've been wanting to do, a little bit of different content here on my channel. We are getting ready for a move, and it's just kind of inspiring me to switch things up a little bit. So I decided to take after one of my favorite YouTubers, that girl Shay XO. She live swatches pretty much everything from Colourpop, and they're some of my favorite videos to watch. So I thought that I could take a page out of her book, and I do live swatch or do eye swatches of every single shade that is in the Sweet Talk eyeshadow palette. I have never done this before. It was quite the struggle to get there, but it was also a lot of fun, and it was really interesting because I also did film this tutorial, and as I was getting ready to do it, I kind of had more ideas instead of just jumping right into the palette or even just like, swatching them on my hand. I had a lot more of ideas of what I wanted to do for the eye look. So this is my first time doing this, so it's a little bit shaky. I'm fairly confident. I also have food in my teeth, so we'll probably just have to ignore that. It's definitely not like the cutest eye swatches ever, but I thought it was a lot of fun and I really liked doing it. So if you have any feedback to give me, just try to keep that in mind. It was my first time, but if you haven't seen Shay's videos yet, any of her videos, I highly recommend all of them. I've been watching her for so long, and I will have her channel linked down below. But like I said, I do eye swatches of every shade in this palette here, and then I also do the eye look that you see. They also did send me over 2 of the blushes, so I put both of these blushes on my cheeks so you can see them, and they sent me over 3 of the lipsticks from the collection, and I do swatch all 3 lipsticks on my lips as well. I do have a discount code with Colourpop. It is 5Samantha, and it will get you $5 off an order of 20 or more. Exclusions do apply, but I'm not 100% what those exclusions are. I do apologize for that. I think that's everything for this video. I'm still kind of struggling with my sickness, so again, a little bit challenging, but thank you guys for sticking with me. Making YouTube videos is about the only thing that's getting me off my couch these days, so it's something that I can look forward to. So I appreciate it so much. But if you're ready for this video, a little bit different style video for me, why don't we go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm gonna do the eye swatches first. So first up, we're gonna do the Sweet Talk Pressed Powder Palette. So that is what the outer box looks like, and then the packaging looks really similar to that. Then inside we have these different shades here. This palette is $18. You have kind of a combination between like matte shimmers, there's some glitters in here, etc. So I'm really excited to get these on my eyes. I do have concealer down on my eyelids, and then I have a little bit of powder over them. That's typically how I do my eyeshadow looks, so I wanted to do it the same. What I want to do for the matte shades is take my Sigma E25. I want to pack the shade on first, and then I also want to blend it. Most of the matte shades I would use for blending, but sometimes, we can pack them on just to kind of see the differences in them. So that's kind of how I'm going to do it. So coming in first with the first shade, this one is called Catch Me. This one is described as a matte pastel peach. So first I'm going to go ahead and pack that all over the lid. I think that's really pretty. It would be really pretty to pack over the lid too. I would probably use it as like a blending shade probably, or maybe even something like on the inner part of the eye. I'm going to pick up a little more here, and I'm just going to kind of blend it along the crease to see how it blends. And it also looks like a shade that you could build up to, from when I first put it down to adding just a little bit more product. Looks like you can build it up, and it looks like it's blending into the crease nicely also. This is a really pretty shade, very springy. Next up, I'm going to come into the second shade here. This one is called Side to Side. This is described as a champagne with silver and pink glitter. For these shimmers, I'm going to use a different brush because I am going to pack these on. So with this one, I'm going to use the Sigma E56. I'm first going to pack it on with a dry brush, and then I do also want to come in with a wet brush to kind of see the difference. So again, this one is called Side to Side. This formula looks really interesting. Like when I put my brush in it, I don't know if you'd be able to see on camera, but I'm kind of just like moving the product all around. But it doesn't look like a lot's going on my brush, so I don't know. We will see what's going on here. That one's like a very, very soft shade. Okay, so at least with a dry brush, not a whole lot is happening here. Very odd shade. I'm trying to swatch it with my finger, and I mean, that looks really pretty, but it's almost like it feels wet. Huh. This is very interesting to me. Like, it feels like there's maybe not a lot there, but maybe some glitter. I'm gonna try it again one more time with the dry brush. It's very interesting. I mean, it is a pretty like glittery shade on its own if that's like all you were really wanting. It's not necessarily my thing, but I mean, we all have different preferences, but I do want to go ahead and try it wet and see if that helps it. It's kind of just almost like a sheer glitter. It is really bizarre how this shadow feels. I don't know if I've ever felt a shadow in a Colourpop pressed palette feel like this. So that's very interesting, but that's what it looks like, kind of wet and dry. I mean, wet definitely helped build it up just a little bit, but there's not a lot of base to it. I thought looking at it in the palette, there would be, you know, a lot of like this pink kind of base and then with the glitter on top, but that's not totally what you get out of this one. So, that one has me a little puzzled. Next up, we're going to come into this one right here, the third shade. This one is called Garden Date. This one is described as a metallic coral with a gold sheen. So that is what the swatch looks like. So I'm once again going to pick up, this is a E56 from Sigma, and I'm going to go ahead and try it dry first. This one is kind of more shimmery versus like glitter, but we'll see how it goes dry and then wet. Right off the bat, it kind of gives me vibes of the Ram from the Colourpop and KathleenLights Loose Pigment collection, because it's that really pretty coral, and then it has some of that gold in there. So I think that's really pretty dry, but I do want to spray my brush as well and see if we can really kind of amp it up, just like the pigment. So yeah, I think adding a wet brush just kind of brings out that really foiled effect to it. It brings out a little bit more of that gold. I think that this is really, really pretty. I don't think it's quite as intense yet as the Ram pigment, but maybe if that was too intense for you, but you still wanted something along those lines, and the rest of this palette was interesting to you, this is a really cool shade. I'm really excited that this one is in here, actually. I think that looks really cool. I'm gonna come into Work It, the last shade in the first row. So this is what Work It looks like, and it is described as a soft matte yellow orange. So there's what Work It looks like. So it definitely looks a little bit more on that orangish side for me. So I'm again going to take a Sigma E25 and pack it and then blend it. I will say removing Garden Date was fairly challenging. I do not know how Shay does these, especially when she has a ton to swatch. Like, I'm super impressed. This was always the thing that I was kind of most scared about, was like removing swatches and then adding them back on, and removing swatches and adding them back on. But hey, we are trying new things. That is one layer packed on. I'm gonna go ahead and build it up just so we can see what it looks like packed on the eye. I really like this shade. I did want to say that with the matte shades, I do get quite a bit of fallout in the palette, if you can see that. But I'm really not struggling with fallout on the eye at this moment, so that's pretty good. Could be different when we actually, you know, do a look and whatnot. But I'm just going to take the same brush and I'm going to blend out the edges here. I think that's blending pretty well also, and I like this shade. I think that it looks really pretty. Next up, I'm super curious to try this glittery shade, which is called Prima Donna. This is described as a pale rose gold glitter with copper and gold duochrome shift. So there's a lot going on, so I'm going to try to swatch it carefully here. So there is Prima Donna. Ooh. So it's a bit more of like a chunky glitter. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and just use my finger for this one and see how it goes. I think that that looks really cool. I'm gonna add a little bit more here. I don't apply a ton with my fingers. You know, I have these nails and sometimes it's hard to like get it really precise. But I think that that looks pretty darn neat. Ooh. That shift, especially with like the gold in there, I think that that looks really cool. So that is definitely a fun glitter option. The shade we're going to pick up is this one right here, which is called Meadow. This one is described as a matte true coral, and that other shade has left me with glitter everywhere, so don't mind that. Pretty much all my mascara is gone, concealer's gone, everything's gone, but that's okay. We're just gonna keep rolling. I have another E25 from Sigma, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pack that on the eyes. Coral was the Pantone color of the year for 2019, so I did think it was fun to see Colourpop do something with more of like these coral tones for that also. But this looks like a really beautiful shade. I'm going to build it up just a little bit here as I pack it on the lid. Ooh, this would even be really pretty to just pack on the lid. I'm just going to add some here and see how it blends. It would be a pretty color to put, you know, in the crease, the outer corner, even the lower lash line for a pop. But honestly, I think it looks really pretty like this too. Especially with, since I have green eyes, obviously that's what I'm going off of, but with green eyes, ooh, I think this is a really beautiful shade. I really quite like this one. I also enjoy the glitter constellation on my face, but this one's really pretty. The next shade we're going to try is Early Morning. This is another glitter. This one is described as a marigold glitter. So again, I'm going to try this one with my finger. So that one looks really pretty. We've made it to the halfway point in the palette, so I'm going to switch over to the other eye. My eye's like, thank you. Thank you for that. Right off the bat, I think I actually like this glitter more than the other one just because I feel like it has a lot of that yellow in there, that beautiful marigold, of course. I actually think I like this one a little bit more because I feel like it packs more of a punch. Next up, we're going to come into the last shade in the second row. This one is called Dream Maker. This is described as a soft matte coral. So another matte shade in here. So that looks really beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and take the Sigma E25 once again and then just start to pack this on. It'll be interesting to kind of compare the difference now that I still have the other coral on this eye. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and build it up just a little bit here. Continue to pack it on the lid. Okay, so that is that packed on. So this one has more like red coral to it. This one is more pinky. And obviously this one is a bit lighter as well, but both are matte shades. I think both are quite pretty. I'm going to go ahead and add some more to the E25 and just kind of blend this into the crease. I think there's a lot of different things that you could do with kind of this softer shade also. And once again, I think that it looks really complementary with green eyes. This one also seems to blend super easily too. Next, we're coming into the first shade in the last row. This is called ICYM, or In Case You Missed It. I'm really excited for this one because it's described as a matte, dirty terracotta, and that sounds like a shade that I would really get on with. There is the swatch of this one. So I have another Sigma E25, and I'm just going to pack this on first. I'm going to add a little bit more and continue to pack it on. This shade is really pretty too. I think if you have green eyes, you are going to like this palette a lot. I think a lot of these shades in here are super complimentary to green eyes. That is the shade In Case You Missed It, packed on the eyes. I think that's really pretty. So I'm going to add a little bit more to my E25 and blend out these edges here. It's going to be hard. I really wanted to pick like a few favorite shades like at the end when I'm kind of giving my final thoughts on the palette, or like my first thoughts on the palette, not final. I think it's going to be challenging, and a lot of these beautiful corals and this terracotta, these would be nice. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more. I mean, I really don't even need that much more to kind of build it up. The next shade we're coming into is Melody. This one is described as a metallic rose with a gold flip. That's a pretty shade. So I'm going to pick up another flat shader. This one is the Sigma F70. I'm going to go ahead and apply it dry first. Okay, that's really pretty. I'm going to add a little bit more here with this brush, the dry brush. It kind of reminds me of that Marigold Glimmer, but with just like more toned down and obviously like not glittery. Like it kind of reminds me a little bit of that shade. I think it's pretty on its own, and like, I mean, I feel like it builds up well and everything with a dry brush, but I do want to spray my brush just to kind of see the difference, to see if we can get more of a foiled finish with it. Okay, I feel like doing a wet brush kind of helps bring, because it's described as a metallic rose, and I wasn't seeing a lot of the rose in there. I feel like this is kind of helping bring that out, and when I shift a little bit, I can kind of see that those like peaks of a rose tone coming through. This is a really interesting shade. I don't feel like I have a whole lot like this in my collection. To me, it's a lot of gold, but when you shift just the right way, you can get that peak of red in there. And also my brush, I feel like if you turn it, you can kind of see that too. Like, it kind of goes from that pinky color to the gold. That's actually really, that's pretty intriguing. So if you kind of like that flip to it, I would suggest using a wet brush. Next up, we're going to come in with the shade Westside. This one is described as a matte camel, which is like one of my favorite eyeshadow shades. So here is what this one looks like. So kind of that deeper brown here. I'm again going to use the Sigma E25 to pack it on and then blend it. That is the shadow packed on. I think that looks really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more to the brush and then just see how it blends. Okay, and there is Westside blended out, and that blended out really well also. So kind of packing it on or blending it, I think that looked pretty good. My poor mascara is like all over my face, but there is Westside. Alrighty, and then our very last shade is called Feel Free. This is described as a rich matte Bordeaux. So I'm going to go ahead with the Sigma E25 and first pack it onto the lid. Ooh. So this one is kind of more of like your burgundy shade. It's not packing on the best, like it's, you know, a little bit patchy, but I probably wouldn't use this shade to pack all over my lid. I'd probably use it to blend, to deepen up the outer crease, etc. But I wanted to try everything, you know, the same. So that's what it's looking like packed onto the lid. So I'm gonna add some more here and blend it and see kind of how it blends into the crease. So it's definitely, you know, of course, the darkest one in the palette. And sometimes I have a little bit of trouble with darker shades. You know, I'm not a makeup artist or anything. I just do this for fun. This one's probably going to be one of the harder ones to work with in the palette just because it's so dark. Play a little bit on the patchy side here too. It could also be because this is the 6th shade that I'm swatching on my eyes. You know, all that. But not bad. I like that we have kind of that deeper shade in the palette also. I feel like it's a good addition to the palette. Alright, so that completes the eye swatches. That was super challenging, and when I went to wash off my makeup, I noticed I had food in my teeth the entire time. So I do apologize for that. Maybe my next eye swatching video will be a little bit better. Meh, we'll have to start somewhere. We're starting from the bottom, and we're gonna get somewhere at some point. But I did go ahead and wipe off my makeup, and then I applied a little bit more here to try to look a little bit more on the Samantha side. And next I'm going to hop into the blushes that were sent over to me. So Colourpop sent over 2 blushes. One is in Count Me In and one is in Growth Flirt. So I'm going to go ahead and just put one on each cheek and we will see how we like these. These are $8 each, and these are the Super Shock cheek shadows. So these are similar to the Super Shock eyeshadows where they kind of have more of that like bouncy feel to them. And fun fact about me and Colourpop, blushes were the first thing that I ordered from Colourpop. I used them quite a bit. I think I actually hit pan on one of them also. I am going to be using both of my Sigma F40s with this one. Typically, I mean, you can use your fingers with this, of course. A lot of times I liked to use like a duo fiber with these, but I don't have a ton of dual fiber brushes anymore. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use my Sigma F40s and we will see how that goes. But I did want to point that out. So the first one that I'm gonna do is Count Me In. This one says, this soft pink is in your heart, on your mind. So this is a soft pink blush. So looks like so when I swatch it. I feel like when you use a kind of like non-dual fiber with this one, you kind of really have to build it up. So again, I did want to just kind of point that out, but I still think that this one's gonna build up nicely and turn into kind of just like a soft pink flush on the cheeks. I think that that's pretty. Again, probably really nice for spring. This one is Count Me In, the blush. Just like with the eyeshadows, you want to make sure you really close the blushes pretty tightly. Otherwise, they can dry out. So something to make note of as well. The other one that we're going to be swatching, this one is called Growth Flirt. That name cracks me up. It's my other clean F40. This one says, no more awkward pauses in this mid-tone pink. Who comes up with this stuff? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and brush this onto the cheeks. So again, even though I'm still not using the dual fiber with this one, it's definitely kind of popping more than the other one, which I could tell, you know, just by looking at them that this one was going to have a little bit more oomph to it. So I'm just going to add just a little bit more to the brush and tap it on. Ooh, that one doesn't need as much building up as the other one did, and I might have actually even gone like a little heavy on this one. Whoa, whoa. Wow, would you look at that. But this side, this one is Growth Flirt from Colourpop. So we got Count Me In and Growth Flirt. Which one do you prefer? So next up I'm going to do the lip swatches. So again, the packaging on these are super cute. These are $7. These are the Luxe lipsticks. They sent me 3 different shades. I'm going to go ahead and swatch them all on my lips. These are all the cream formula. They sent me Your Thriving, Tea Time, and Spring Roll. And I'm going to start off with Spring Roll. The swatch of Spring Roll, it says dip into this sweet, warm, pinky nude. Alright, so this is a spring roll on my lips. The cream formula isn't my favorite from the Luxe lipsticks. I do prefer the mattes, but I still wanted to swatch everything so you guys could see how they are on my lips. I will say I think this is a very springy color, like it almost pulls a little bit more on the coral side, so I think it definitely makes sense to the collection, but here is a spring roll. Next up, we're going to swatch the shade Your Thrivin', which looks like this. This one says flourish with this rosy coral. This is a very poppin' spring color. This is more of like a bright coral to me. Again, totally makes sense to me from like with the collection and all these coral vibes we have going on. This is really like a show-stopping lip color. If you did something a little bit more kind of like simple with the eyes, or you just don't have any eyeshadow on right now, this is a color that will just like take your look to another level real quickly. So this one is Your Thrivin'. Lastly to swatch, we have Tea Time. This says sip on this plummy terracotta. So once again, we got another terracotta from the collection. I think this one is actually my favorite of the 3 that was sent over to me. I really love a good terracotta eye color, lip color, doesn't matter. Those are the swatches of the 3 lipsticks that were sent over to me. I hope that you found that helpful. And then we're gonna go ahead and finish this video off with a little eye look here. We're gonna jump into the eye tutorial now. I really wanted to do a full eye look in addition to the eye swatches. I just thought that it would be fun. I did keep that last lip color on. It is my favorite, and so I would have just reapplied it anyways. So we're just gonna leave that on. But I do have concealer on and my eyelids primed. I have to say that there's a lot of different looks that I want to do with this palette, but these matte corals are just speaking to me so much that I really want to do something with them. I'm just going to come into the shade Dream Maker. That one was kind of more of that soft matte coral, and I'm just going to pick up the E25 again, and I'm going to pat this on the outer part of my eye, but then also blend it into the crease and a little bit higher than the crease as our first shade here. Next, I'm just going to take that same brush and I'm going to dip into the shade Meadow. This one is kind of that darker matte coral, and I'm just going to do the same thing. Just kind of blend those shades together, but just add a little bit more of an oomph of coral here. And I'm also going to kind of take this shade and pack it about like halfway onto the lid here, and then blend it along the crease with that first shade. I absolutely had to use the terracotta shade. This one, in case you missed it, 100% have to use this shade. I'm just picking up a different Sigma E25. This is the one that I used to swatch it. I use this shade to pack on the outer part of the lid and add some of that depth there. And then I'm gonna grab that first blending brush that we used, and I'm gonna blend together because I don't wanna take this one in too far. So I'm just really depositing that pigment on the outer part of the eye. Again, taking the other E25 and just blending. I have to say that I'm already really feeling this look, but I'm just gonna add a little bit of Catch Me. It's that first shade, kind of that real pale pink. And I'm just grabbing the E56, one that I cleaned when I was doing the swatches. And I'm just gonna tap this one on the inner part of the lid just to kind of brighten it up right here, and then fade it into those other coral shades. I like this look so much. Oh, I want to recreate it when I'm not going to just take my makeup off. I am seriously so happy right now. I think that looks so pretty. It's even actually better than what I had envisioned in my mind. It's usually the opposite. For the lower lash line, I'm first going to start off with the terracotta shade, and in case you missed it, I'm just going to take a pencil brush from Sigma, and I'm going to run that along the lower lash line. Next, I'm going to come in with Meadow and do the same thing, and I'm just continually using the same brush. So we're just kind of working backwards from how we applied on our lid. Just kind of going in the reverse order for the lower lash line. The first shade that we put on there, this one in Dream Maker, and again, the same brush. And then I'm just really going to use this one to kind of blend those shadows together. Kind of smoke the lower lash line out. I'm going to come back into the first shade here in Catch Me, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of that like right into the inner corner as well, so just kind of extending that shade from the inner part of the eye to the inner corner of the eye for a little highlight. And I'm also going to use this same shade, and apply just a tiny bit under the brow bone too, just a little. To finish off the eyes, I'm going to add a little bit of the Colourpop BFF mascara to my top and bottom lashes. After the mascara, we already have our lip color on. This is the little eye look that I wanted to do for the tutorial portion of this, and I really like how this came out. I will definitely be doing this again on a look for a video or going out or something, because I really like this. It was, I mean, really quick and simple to do, actually, just blending a few of those mattes together and kind of fading that lighter shade into it. I think this is beautiful. I think it's such a pretty spring look, and then paired with this lipstick, I'm super happy with how this look came out. Okay, so that is going to do it for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed this. This was definitely a different video for me. Again, this was my first time eye swatching, and it was definitely very challenging for sure. I don't know how Shay keeps her face so clean when she's doing eye swatches. Like, I have mascara everywhere and bronzer everywhere. Like, I bow down to her. It's definitely a lot of fun to do. You have to let me know if you have any feedback for me, nicely, if you would. That would be great. But I had a lot of fun with the eye swatches and the blushes and also the lipsticks. You have to let me know what you thought of the collection. So for the eyeshadow palette, this is definitely a me eyeshadow palette. It really is. I love this look that I have going on right now. I think that it is so pretty. The only shade in here that I'm not a fan of is the second one right here. It's just the one that's called Side to Side. That one is very strange to me. The formula is very strange. I mean, you can get like some pretty glitter on the eyes, but that was the only one that I thought was a little off. But there's some really beautiful shades in here. I obviously love the mattes, but even some of these shimmers, that Garden Date, which kind of, it was the one that reminded me of the Ram pigment. That one is so pretty. I honestly can do without glitters in my palettes, just being honest. I don't reach for the glitters and the palettes that I own a ton. I kind of have like my liquid glitters that I prefer, but if you do like glitters, you have those two glitter options in here, and overall, I'm really happy with this palette. I think that it is so pretty. The blushes I do think are really pretty as well. Again, I've tried Colourpop blushes in the past, and I would recommend them. You do just have to kind of apply them a little bit differently than the other blushes, so I did want to make note of that, but I think both of these are really pretty as well. And then for the Luxe lipsticks, definitely my favorite shade is You're Thriving. I think that this is beautiful, but the other two were those really nice coral colors as well. The Luxe lipstick formula, I don't mind. Like I said, I prefer the matte versus the cream. That's just kind of me with any lipsticks. I tend to always kind of stick to my matte lipsticks, but again, these are only $7 and they have more shades than just the 3. I would love to know if you're planning to pick up anything from the collection. If you've already picked up something from the collection, please do let me know. Again, I'd love to get your feedback. I really do want to start making, you know, a few different videos on my channel. I'm really inspired to make some changes here, and that includes the content that I put out on YouTube. I want to get things out quicker. I want to get some reviews out quicker, and especially if I get a really nice package like this from a brand, I really want, and I get your feedback on it, that you really want to see a video all about it. I'm going to try to get them up as quickly as I can. So let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sticking by me as I've been battling with this cold. I do appreciate it so much. And as always, if you guys did enjoy this video, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go. And I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video.